Welcome back to Rise and Tell with Sheekha. I am Sheekha Singh, your host and author. I have got something special to share. My brand new book, Unburnable Ambition: How Overachievers Win Without Burning Out. This book is for all of us who dream big but refuse to let burnout be the price. Head to shikhasingh.com/unburnable ambition and sign up today. Now let's dive into today's episode. Today we have with us Lidia Axe. Lydia, welcome to our show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm super cool and super pumped to go on your show, as I always do, because I love
Awesome.
being a guest on the podcast.
Awesome. To all our viewers and listeners, if you haven't checked out Lydia's profile already, go do it because she is not just a coach, she's also an author. Plus, she is the creator of the Trust Method. And I am so excited to learn about that, Lydia. So let's just dive right in. Before actually I ask you about the Trust Method, tell me what was going on in your mind when you decided you are going to become a coach's coach.
Ooh, such a long journey, but I tried to condense it. I started my career when I left university. I became a finance person. Next 15 years, I was in finance, became a CFO, first director in PwC, kind of on the way to partnership, moved to industry CFO, like the top of the food chain.
Wow.
And then that didn't feel good, and I was hitting my 35 years at that time. I had my family, 3 kids, a house, like I got it all, right? Career, kids, family, house, all the check boxes. And I'm like, that doesn't feel good. Like that doesn't give me the satisfaction, and then I went to the business school, and business school, it's a big investment, but one thing they do good, they ask the right question. And the question they asked me, like, imagine yourself 80-year anniversary.
Okay.
What do you tell your friends? And I'm like, oh my God, what I got to tell them? So it's kind of switched my mind completely. And I went ahead, I left corporate, I became an entrepreneur. I built my first business. It was good. It was about kids because, in the business school, they tell you your first business should be about something you really know about. I'm like, well, I have kids. So I decided, I set up a kids club. That didn't go so well because it appears I love my kids, but not other people's kids, not that much. And then, but it was really good experience. What is entrepreneurship like, and just exploring. And guys, if you're on the path to become an entrepreneur, you will make mistakes. Like people try to avoid mistakes. That's not possible. Now, everyone will make their own mistakes. So, you just need to try things to understand what you like, what you don't like, working with a partner. Because I set up my first business with a partner. I'm like, no, I'm not a partner business. I'm so determined, and I'm so kind of fast paced. It's hard to do things with a partner. And again, it's not for everyone. Like everyone will have their own lessons. So then I realized, like working with, because the whole idea of my first business was working with kids, not just kids club, but kids and mom club. It was called Mama's Dream. So because not only the kids could have something to do and, drawing lessons and other lessons, but the moms would not be sitting with their phones, but they would have something to do. And then I realized I really loved working with moms, so that's how it led me to coaching, as the space. I'm like, I really love helping people develop and grow and just find their purpose. And that's where I got to coaching. I got my coaching degree, and I became the midlife coach for women. And that's where I got to the book that you asked me about. But then, and I've been through my own midlife crisis or midlife hump, midlife deep, whatever you wanna call it. Then I went through some rough times because of the war, because of the two moves I had to make with my family. And then I'm like, well, I need to get back to something less, less emotional, less. And I'm like, well, that's business, because I have a strong business background and I'm good building businesses because I've built a few over the
Right.
years. And then I realized, I did some research, and then I realized that a lot of good coaches give up because they're good coaches, but they know nothing about business, about marketing, about
Yeah.
online world, about social media. And I'm good at this. And I'm like, well, I want to help because I think our world
Right.
need more coaches in
Correct.
all areas: relationship, health, business, all spaces. If we have more coaches, the world will benefit. So, and I can do this. So that's
Yeah.
very
How?
condensed version of me becoming a coach. Or let me say that I call myself a coach because that's kind of known, but what I provide is coaching, consulting, and mentoring.
Yes.
Coaching because I'm a coach,
Right.
since 2017. Consulting because I've done it, and sometimes it's just easier. Like, this is the steps you need to do. So I just give the roadmap, the framework, the step by step, and then the mentoring because I've done it. And the mentor is someone who's done it
Yeah.
already, and they can share the lessons, they can share the stories. So I do all three, and I think that's my advantage, that I can help other coaches with all three: the coaching, consulting, and mentoring, to help them build businesses.
Wow. Congratulations, first of all. I should tell you that, Lydia. I feel like we got a glimpse of your resume and it's just impressive. There you go. You've won it. That's awesome. And to all our listeners and viewers, if you didn't already get a hint from what Lydia was saying, she is joining us from Israel right now. So, Lydia, let's talk about the fact that you went from being there. Like, you were at the top, you had everything that people dream of. And then you decided, okay, this is not fulfilling me or my dreams. And you switched. Obviously, that move would not have been easy. What's the biggest struggle that you had to overcome?
Yeah, one of my kind of strength is that I'm the risk taker. I'm a certified values coach, so I know how to identify person's values, and I think it's important to know your values. So I do it for myself, I do it for other people, obviously. One of my top three values is daring. So anything that
Mhm.
seems challenging, I'm a sucker for this.
Correct.
I'm just gonna go and grab it. I didn't realize how hard that would be. So you're on point, that it wasn't easy, right? Because I used to success, I used to everything being easy. In corporate, for me, it was like fish in the water. I didn't
Right.
realize, like, you ask fish what is the water, like, they don't know what's the water because they swim naturally. So for me, moving through the corporate ladder was easy because there was a structure, there was rules, there was, like, I was really good following the rules and showing up and being proactive. Like, it was so easy. When I moved to be in the world of entrepreneur, solopreneur, whatever you call, it was a complete disaster for me. Like, in the corporate world, everybody thought I'm the most organized person in the world. When
Right.
I moved out, I found myself procrastinating. I found myself overwhelmed building the structure. Because in corporate world, what people don't realize, there is a structure and they just follow the rules. It
Yes.
was easy for me. When I went to do things on my own, I think this was the biggest struggle. And maybe to this day, I have to build the structure that I have to follow. So you have to be a Swiss Army knife,
Yes.
right? Like, you have to be everything. You have to build the structure and then you follow the structure. So, yeah, I think the biggest struggle for me was building the structure, building the way my day, how my day is, and then following that day. And then, all the internal struggle was the biggest for me.
I agree. I mean, I have seen a lot of people demonize 9 to 5 jobs just because it's the grind, whatever. But what they fail to understand is that it teaches so many important skills that you can use when you're running your own business. Like you mentioned, systems, for example. Having a system takes so much pressure out of you that
Yeah.
that's one less thing you have to worry about. You have an organized calendar, fine. Okay, you're going to show up, you'll do it. But if you don't, then you're all over the place. Like you said, you were overwhelmed and it was just too much trying to build that
Yeah.
structure.
I was a CFO. I had a department working for
Yeah.
me. I had a personal assistant. I
Yeah.
had so much, structure around me that you don't appreciate. I know people say, like, oh, it's a 9 to 5 prison. Yeah, you people don't understand that it's actually so much easier to work in the 9 to 5 because you can come up and be the king, be the expert. When you move out, not only you have to be the expert, like the coach or the consultant, whatever, but you also have to be all those, the
Very-
Shiva
Yeah.
with this many hands. You have to be the accountant, you have to be the assistant. You can hire the assistant, okay, fine. You can automate some of the processes, and you must, because there is no other way around. But then there are still other jobs that you have to fill in, that you absolutely, you don't need to do that in the corporate world. So, and let's be clear, I think what people don't realize, that a lot of people leave corporate world because of this kind of dream of flexibility and freedom and revenue, whatever is the goal is, and then they go back. There are a lot of people, they just, because one of the biggest reasons is the wrong expectations. Like, they don't understand how much it actually takes to do it all on your own.
Yeah. And you were a great example, Lydia, because you built everything from the ground up. And that's really impressive to me. And now you're teaching others who are on that same journey. So that says a lot about who you are as a person, too. So kudos to you. I read on your profile where you said you don't have to do the viral dances or,
Yes.
did follow the trends, whatever, to become successful. And that caught my eye. That's so true. And I have been struggling with that. When I started my
Mm.
YouTube channel first, all my friends called me and they said, oh, you know what? Why aren't you doing this trend? Why aren't you doing that trend? And you
Mm.
should follow this person. They do it this way, they do it that way. This is what's working right now. I'm like, I don't want to be that person. No offense against anybody who's doing that and they have success. But when I look back 10 years from now, I don't want to be sitting and then looking at videos where I was dancing or jumping just to promote my podcast, which is totally different from whatever that trend was. So, what's your approach to it and what's your big advice?
Yeah, and thank you. I had that. And I think I keep saying that you don't have to if you don't want to. Like, if this is you like it, lean in into your strengths. Like, when clients come to me, we look at their strengths, we look at their weaknesses, because we need, and I say, don't start to fix every weakness you have. It's going to take you forever. Lean into the strengths that you have. Now, I think, well, a couple of points. So, one that you mentioned is a lot of coaches, consultants, experts, they follow the advice of the content creator path. And
Yes.
content creator path is completely different path. Is, I think, is where people come and, and I'm not saying it's a wrong or right path, but it's just a different path. And the advice, and a lot of advice that you hear, it's advice to content creators, right? To experiment, to dance, to follow the trends, to follow the music. Like, you can go with that path, but just understand first that path is a longer path,
Yeah.
and there is a lot of competition on that path. And to stand out, you need to have something, right? The personality. That now you can go a shortcut, you can go a faster path, if you go the expert path, and that's what I teach, where you already have something that you can
Right.
offer. You're an expert as a coach, as a consultant, as a solopreneur. Now, you don't have to follow that trend that,
Yeah.
you can, and then where the content plays a role in your overall strategy, but not the main role, right?
Correct.
That's
Yes.
my strategy. My strategy is, and I call it Trust OS, Trust Operating System, real connections fueled by automations. But first, it's a real human connections. You need to start getting connected to people and find it through those connections that you already made. Because,
Right.
majority of people who I work with, they already, mid my, like I
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
30, 35. By that time, you already built a network,
Network. Yeah.
whether it's 100 people, 200 people, 300 people, depending on your, introvert, extrovert.
Yeah.
Like my network is, like, I estimate 3,000 people.
Mm.
It's just the close, it's just people who really know me. Okay. If people who just know me, that's probably 10x of that. But I'm super extroverted.
Right.
So
Right.
I understand if you are not that much, okay, divided by 10, fine, you have 300 people. And that's fine as well, because multiply that by number of people they know. That's
Mm.
your network.
Yeah.
And this only two connections away. Well, what
Right.
about three connections away? What about four connections away? So you already, I think what people don't realize, this is my Trust OS is based, that you already have access to thousands of people without posting content, without dancing on Instagram, without doing anything. You have access. Now it requires you to do only one thing: start the conversation. The
Mm.
conversation, which is bloody scary. It is
Yes.
scary for many people, but that's all it takes. And it's way faster. That's the fastest way. Start the conversation, and your next client will be either one conversation away, or five conversations away, or 10 conversations away. But
Yes.
that's very fast. This is the fastest way versus posting that content that's going to be lost in the infinite sea or ocean of the content that's going on today.
Very valuable advice, Lydia. I highly appreciate this because it is so on point right there. And you mentioned about striking a conversation first to build that network with the network that you already have. So that says a lot. I think a lot of people try to not, they don't understand the impact of already having known a few people in their area, in their community, relatives, friends, coworkers, etc.
Yeah, let's start. Relatives. So anybody, then co-workers, ex-co-workers.
Yeah.
Everybody probably, had a couple of companies already, right? By that time. And then course students, like people, you took some courses, whether it's a coaching course, whether it's professional course, there were people on that course, correct? And then if you have kids, then you have parents, classmates, and then the neighbors, and then the church, and then the health club. I mean, it's like if you start broadening,
Mapping it out.
thinking
Yeah.
outside the box, you already have connection. Now it's connection, some is stronger, some is not. But you've said hello to, okay, if it's not 300, you are very introverted.
Introverted.
But this is like the minimal. If you're a little bit more extrovert, and introversion, extroversion is a scale. Nobody is on the colors, like everybody is somewhere on that scale. So you already have access to at least few hundreds of people.
Correct. And I feel that sometimes it's the fact that people are scared of judgment, especially when they start approaching their relatives or their friends or their coworkers for that fact.
Right.
I think the first thing that stops everyone, even if they're expert in their field, is that, oh, what are they going to think about me? I didn't want them to know this side of me, or but they hardly realize that people are happy to help. They're
Yeah.
so willing, if they're really great and they want you to succeed and grow and achieve greater things, then they will
And most
definitely.
people do. And
Yeah,
most people do.
exactly. They will pass that word on and they will make sure that someone in there, like you said, they know 100 people, they will make sure if that topic comes up, your name is being mentioned there.
Exactly, exactly. And I think, yes, we're all scared of judgment. One thing that helps me is understanding that our life on this planet is very short, right? So, am I scared? Yes. I'm not less scared than you are, but I do it anyway. That's my thing. And whenever I hesitate to do something, I ask myself, will I regret this 80-year anniversary exercise or
Yeah.
deathbed, if you want to be
Yeah.
dramatic, the death meditation from the Stoics, whatever helps you,
Yes.
brings you back to the understanding that we are here for such a short period of time. And every time we don't do something because of the fear, it's okay to have fear. We all have fear, anxiety, and worry. It's fine. It's about what do we do
True.
anyway. Whatever exercise you can get, and there is the fear setting exercise from Tim Ferriss that I love, and then there is the death meditation from Stoics, and then there is the 80th anniversary exercise, what I'm going to regret not doing. So anything, any exercise that you can do that can make you do this thing anyway. Have this conversation. Pick up your kid and you're like, hey, and I'm not wearing it today, but all my most of my t-shirts have I'm a coach, or like ask me. So, always I pick up my kids, or I go to grocery shopping, meet my neighbors, my friend. I go out with my dog and I meet a stranger. They ask me, oh, are you a coach? And I'm like, yes. And I keep and then that's it. This the
Wow.
conversation starter. And you say, yeah, I actually help people. And then when it's really important to have your I help statement, I run out. And that's what I help coaches. Like, who do you help? What do you help with? You
Nice.
need to be saying this with your like eyes closed and you're in your sleep.
Yeah.
I help coaches build successful businesses. That it. If you're a coach or you want to become one, I'm here to help. And if you're here to help women lose weight, then this is what you should tell. So you need to have the I help statement, elevator pitch, whatever you want to call it, because and then you need to be bold about it, you need to be loud about it, because you need to be excited to help. Like, why wouldn't you, to help more people achieve that goal, or overcome that pain, or objection? Why wouldn't you be?
True. I agree. Wow, 100%. I love how you approach things, Lydia. But by the way, I know I'm going to deviate from the topic, but what kind of a dog do you have?
Labradoodle.
Oh, nice. Okay, I have a
Yeah, I bought it.
Doberman.
So I have 4 kids. My 2 younger kids have some mental health issue. My daughter is autistic, and my son has some health issues. So I'm like, I need to have a therapy dog. And I was because my
Right.
husband was like, no dogs, no dogs. And I'm like, well, I need to find the reason. I'm very
Yeah.
determined. I'm very oriented
It
person.
shows, it shows.
So I'm like, I need to find a reason to convince my husband to get a dog. And the only reason was like, it's going to help our kids. It's the therapy dogs.
Yeah.
We got a 4 years ago, we got a Labra. He's a sweetheart.
Oh, nice. I love that. But I love your energy, Lydia. I have to tell you, I am so pumped just by listening to everything that you have to say and all your tips. I like that they're very actionable. I can implement it right now today, even if I'm not a coach. I can go and I can strike a conversation with the next person that I meet, tell them about the book that I'm writing. And
Yes.
that way I am building my list already and I'm starting my promotion months before.
Yes, well, I tell you about my book. So I told you 2019, I published my book about the female midlife crisis. That's what I was coaching about. I was like researching about. And I was so pumped. Well, I tell you, about 6 months before I published the book, I kept talking about it on
Nice.
Facebook at that time, Facebook and Instagram were my two key instrument at that time. And I was just asking questions. I was going, chapter by chapter, and every chapter I would be just posting like, hey guys, is this or this. I would be asking questions everyone I met. And then when I was, I think, like 90% confident the book is going to come out, I started building my wait list. I started like,
Wow.
hey, and I told, I was self-publishing. So I started my list and I sold all the books, that was in the first print. By this, going
Oh,
and
wow.
talking about it, like I couldn't stop talking about it because I was so excited. And I don't understand, like, people, when people are shy about something, it's hard for me to understand. Because if you're doing something and it's because of, this is your passion, this is because you want to help someone, right? You just need to keep talking about it
Correct.
and forget what people think. Well, who cares what people think?
Exactly.
Just keep talking about it and, ask questions and get people involved. It was kind of built in public. My last few months of the writing this book were really like built in public. I was asking questions, I was
Nice.
sharing, and it was building up
Yeah.
to the event. And then I published it, and it was the best. It was super, super hard, not super hard, super exciting
Yeah.
event. It was super hard to finish it, honestly,
Yeah.
because I was like, obviously, I had all this self doubt. Is it good enough? What people are gonna think? Maybe I should spend a little more time. Like that's never gonna stop. That voice in your head is never gonna stop. It's not good enough. You need to spend more time. Maybe what people will think. So these voices are never gonna go away. But you need to just move through them and say, well, it's okay. Like, my answer to them would be like, okay, I'm gonna do edition two. I'm
Yeah.
gonna issue something else. Just have to go past that. You're never gonna be ready, never, for anything, for the course, for the coaching, for the book. Doesn't matter. You're never gonna feel like, people who
Ready.
are
Yeah.
confident really make me nervous.
Yeah.
Because if they're confident,
Yeah.
there must be something wrong with them. So a majority of people, they never feel ready, they feel nervous, and that's okay, because that's what, gives us motivation to be better, right? To still learn, to improve, to give the best of us, because we're worried, because we care. And I think that's very important. If we care, that's good. That means we're going to give it all, what we have today, and next day we're going to be better. And that's what it is.
Correct. Wow. Wonderful message, Lydia. I absolutely love it. I love it because I've been there and I've experienced it, and I know the importance of just stopping and not letting your limiting beliefs come in your way to achieve something that you've always wanted to do. So with that thought, we'll end the show, Lydia. Thank you so much for being a guest on our show. It was a pleasure to have you with us today. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. Yeah, enjoying the conversation. I love sharing my message. And I just hope more people, go past their fears, go past their self doubt. Whether it's writing a book, whether it's becoming a coach, whether it's, I don't know, creating a course, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I just wish more people. And if they need more support, I'm here to help. Or anybody else, just ask for help, ask for support. I had great coaches along the way. I had great mentors. They helped me, and now I'm helping others.
Wonderful. Incredible. Thank you so much for those advice and those suggestions, Lydia. Thanks a lot. And thank you again for taking our time to be with us today and share all your wonderful experiences with us.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for tuning in for today's episode of Rise and Tell with Shikha. My book, Unburnable Ambition, is all about how to chase your biggest goals without losing yourself to burnout. You can now sign up at shikasingh.com/unburnable ambition. Until next time, keep growing, keep glowing, and be yourself, and keep your ambition unburnable. Thank you.